that was the last place on earth you'd want to live. But, now it's considered to be quite central. Hello, team, and welcome back to another Two Fat Brokers podcast. This has got to be like number 3,000 or something. 3,000, 3,400.
Must be close.
We'll go through the usual thing. I'm Barney from Dubai.
I'm Ben from Abu Dhabi.
And this is...
Asel.
From Kazakhstan.
Hi.
She is from Eden Realty. She works with me. And today...
And why is she here specifically?
I don't know. She
Because
followed me in here. Because she's here.
I heard she's one of your top brokers.
Oh.
Is she one of?
I wouldn't go so far as to say.
Excuse me.
She is our most successful broker as of 2020 season 23 to 24. So well done, Asel. And
Congratulations,
your prize,
Thank you.
which is nothing actually worth anything, is just to come on the podcast and we can glean you of all of your information and knowledge. Today, we are going to speak about what is a better or where you see more value in investing in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi. Now, I have recently gone on record as saying that I think Abu Dhabi is the dark horse of 2025. In fact, that may have been our last podcast.
Could be.
And this is going to be a rare occasion where I don't say much because Asel is a very good client relationship investor lady. Don't know what they're called. And Ben knows all about Abu Dhabi. So...
Sure. Well, maybe Asel can make the case for Dubai. When you see Dubai in 2025 as an investment destination, what are your thoughts?
Well, Dubai always will be I think, number one for investment. You cannot compare it, Abu Dhabi to Dubai. It's different. I mean, most of the people who are investing in Abu Dhabi are more family oriented and they're buying like as end users, and Dubai more are buying as investment. Because if you compare when they are renting the properties, they rent more in Dubai because the population is more than Abu Dhabi. So that's why...
Do you think the rents are higher in Dubai?
Yes, higher in Dubai, yeah.
But the prices are also higher in Dubai.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that remove your or lower your ROI? What's an average ROI, would you say, if you were to just iron out the whole market that is under 20 million dirhams in Abu Dhabi or 10 million dirhams in Abu Dhabi? What's your average ROI?
I mean, it varies massively, but for an investment product, probably is, we're talking gross, I'd say 6%. It's very easy to get. Okay. 7% is a bit harder, but manageable. But a lot of stuff, obviously the luxury stuff is, 3 and 4.
I mean, I would say it's not that easy to walk into 7% in Dubai anymore, would you? It's easy to walk into 6, but it's hard to find 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a client at the moment, Trevor, if you're watching, and I know you are, he blows very hot and cold on investment, but he wants 8%.
You're not using his real name, right? His name's not Trevor.
No, his name's really Trevor.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Trev. He wants 8%. And when we
Gross
first started
net?
talking...
Yeah, I mean...
It was very difficult.
And, when we first started talking 2 or 3 years ago, it was possible. 8% net was not unattainable, but now, no chance.
Yeah, because the prices went up.
Yeah, prices went up.
Yeah, and the problem is with most investments is when the price goes up, the rent doesn't go up at the same speed. So what normally happens is when you've got expensive property, the ROI is lower. So that's why. So for example, if I had 10 million dirhams, I could invest in 5 2 million properties or 1 10 million property. The reason why the yield's lower on 10 million is because it's a pain in the backside to manage 5 properties.
In who now?
So the more effort and the more risk you have to take, so the more effort you have to put in, the more risk you have to put in, your yield is
also
higher.
about market share. There's a lot more people who could rent a 2 million dirham apartment than a 10 million dirham house.
Yeah, but then there's less of them, right? Or otherwise they wouldn't be worth 10 million because someone's bought it at some point. So usually the more expensive the property, the lower the yield. Very rarely will you get, unless it's commercial, in which commercial shouldn't really matter. Yield should be flat, but usually, expensive properties have poor yield. So
if I was to ask you the same question, if you were to average out the value or the return on investment between 2 and 10 million dirhams in Dubai, what do you think your average return on investment gross would be?
Average will be 6.57% max.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
And then you're taking about 0.5% off that for your service charges. Some cases are a lot more. So yeah, I mean, it would appear at face value that Abu Dhabi is overtaking Dubai in terms of investment or return on investment.
Well, one thing that acts as a counterbalance when property prices go up is normally service charges stay flat.
Yeah.
So they're a smaller percentage of the rent. So that acts as a counterbalance. But so you're saying that in Dubai, if you've got a 10 million dirham property, you can rent it out for 650, 600?
It depends what it is. Houses, yes, very easily. Apartments, less so. But apartments, if you've got a 10 million dirham apartment, it's going to be, I don't know, roughly 3,000 square feet, give or take. Now, the service fees on that are going to be, over 100,000, 150,000.
Yeah, but then
really
if the value of that doubles to 20 million, your service fees are still the same amount.
No, we're just talking
and
about
your rent then becomes 1.2 in theory.
Yeah, we're talking about rent, not about capital appreciation. Right now, we can talk about capital.
No. But I'm not talking about capital appreciation. I'm saying if the value of the property doubles to 20 million, then the rent doubles to 1.2. Your service charges
all things being equal,
stay the same at 150,000.
Yeah, all things being equal. But just because the property price has gone up 100%, the rent won't have doubled. We don't see the rent. Yeah, actually, to be honest, I mean, the rents have gone up astronomically. I don't, anecdotally, I wouldn't even know, on average how much they've gone up. No idea.
No, for the past 2 years, it doubled.
It doubled?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, house prices in some places have doubled, if not tripled. So, one thing that we are beginning to see, and again, this is slightly off topic, is that a lot more people are moving out into the absolute suburbs. I remember one day going to look at a piece of land for a client of mine in Damac Hills 2, which I didn't know was a thing. It's 45 minutes from the marina inland, and it's full.
Wow.
Totally occupied.
Yeah.
45 minutes is a manageable commute for most people.
Yeah, but not for people who've been spoiled and living in Dubai.
That is true.
I remember the days when Arabian Ranches, nobody wanted to go to Arabian Ranches because it was too far out.
Yeah.
That was the last place on earth you'd want to live. But, now it's considered to be quite central.
So, Asel, when you have an investor and they want to invest in Dubai and they're looking at return, like so something built that to rent out well, where do you recommend? Like, what's a good investment right now?
It's a good investment. Well, it depends on the developer. You need to pick a good developer. Like in terms of you need to see his project up. You need to understand which project is good.
But something that's already built, like where
it's already built.
Yeah, something that's a decent investment.
It would be somewhere in downtown. I would say Business Bay. Also, it depends on the building again, because you need. I'm not gonna name the developers.
Name them.
No.
There's no safe spaces in this podcast.
So yeah, it depends on the I would go for something like
reputable developers.
Yeah, reputable developers.
So when you have a non-reputable developer, how does their building appreciate as opposed to others?
There are some new developers who are doing pretty well in Dubai. So you can see they have some kind of showrooms, and some of them they already built some projects, and you can see how they managed to build it. So, and it's really good. So, and based on that, you can also pick one of them.
Because obviously the market in Dubai has been going up 25% year on year for the last 3 years. Something like that.
Yeah.
Just broadly speaking, yeah.
2019.
And obviously, like a rising tide lifts all boats. So even some of those not particularly good developers, their property is also appreciated. But you'd say it's appreciated less than the better developers. Is that how it works?
I don't think. No, they also appreciate good. But again, I don't know what factors affects, but it's still they're selling well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to look at the affordability, right?
Yeah,
what is it? We said in a couple of podcasts, not everyone can afford to live in Mayfair.
True.
But if you can afford to live in a slightly less building in a really nice location, then, that's going to be a building that fills up because it's about the location, less so about the construction.
Yeah, because some people, they have let's say $300K in dollars, and they want okay, this is how much I want to invest, and these are developers who are building specifically in that price range. So that's why they sell fast. So and I
You'll
think
also find, I think, these smaller developers, once they had enough money to buy a plot of land in what was a prime location, because 10, 15 years ago they weren't that expensive. Whereas you don't see these smaller developers building stuff in centrally located areas anymore. They're going out to the Al Fajans of the world, and the city of Arabia is that kind of location where land is more affordable, and they're beginning to cut their teeth out there.
But there's some hidden stuff that we know. So we have a lot of investors that we know that moved to Dubai, and what they're doing now, they are buying a plot and they're offering these developers to do the JV with them. So that's why it became also affordable for them to buy land and do some, like, let's say, cooperation and build something together.
Yeah, joint ventures.
Joint ventures.
It's lowering the barriers to entry for some developers.
Well, because obviously, there's no secret that in 2009, 2008, there were some developers who struggled, didn't necessarily deliver what they promised to, and the government have been very proactive in now, where for you to be able to then start taking expressions of interest, so an initial deposit to reserve a property, the developer has to have quite a large proportion of the actual cost of the construction in escrow. So there's never going to be a situation where a developer can launch a project and not have enough money to at least build half of it, right? Sorry.
Interesting. I mean, when I was on my way here, there's obviously a few billboards up in Dubai, and I noticed quite an interesting name that Barney now remember from back in the day, Vaxon.
Vaxon have always been around.
But as a developer?
Yeah, I can't remember the last.
They were a brokerage when we.
They still are a brokerage, a very good one.
When we met them,
I like the guys from Vaxon.
Yeah, well, interesting. Well, we're going off topic a little bit.
So tell us about Abu Dhabi. Tell us why.
I want to know
or
about
where
Abu Dhabi more.
should you be buying property if you're an investor in Abu Dhabi?
I mean, we've got capital appreciation and we've got the returns, and generally your better returns are in less desirable locations.
Yeah.
So your better returns tend to be further out because they're like I said before, a pain to manage. But what we've had in Abu Dhabi is we've had like a very like staggered recovery. So Saadiyat Island, which is the luxury area in Abu Dhabi, that recovered first, and then Yas, and then Raha Beach, and now Reem Island. And then at some point, it looks like Al Reef, where I live, in an affordable area. So it's been very staggered over the last 4 years. We haven't had kind of consistent growth across the whole place. And it's been very much based on location. But now it does seem like the whole of Abu Dhabi is starting to move. But there was a report came out this morning from ValueStrat, which said Abu Dhabi, capital, they're a consultancy company.
In Abu Dhabi, just
no. They're global.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like a Knight Frank or a Jones Lang LaSalle or something like that, and they bring out reports. And they said Abu Dhabi, they expect it to grow, 5 or 6% in 2025.
Steady.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you guys gonna
Nosebleed
do with all
territory.
Wow.
So in terms of capital appreciation, I'm happy to say I think Dubai is a stronger bet for sure. But if you're looking for rental returns, I think because Abu Dhabi hasn't had those price increases, our yields are probably at least competitive in most respects.
I wouldn't say there's many investors that actually go, right, I'm going to buy this property because I see capital appreciation. They buy a property because they see ongoing yield. That's predominantly people.
I think completely opposite.
What do you
All
think?
the conversations we have with all of these guys is, what capital appreciation am I going to get? And often people don't even look at the yield, because why would investors then buy luxury property?
Well, these are
Yield is
people who,
terrible.
okay, so they're flippers. I wouldn't say that they were necessarily investors. I would say they were flippers. So this is someone who's going to buy something off plan, and they expect to make 30-40% before it's finished, and then they can flip it. That I wouldn't say is an investor.
I mean, there's that as well, so I don't know what it's like in Dubai, but in Abu Dhabi, we don't have that many investors buying secondary market. Still, all the investors, they just want to pile into off plan
Yeah.
because they want to flip it.
Yeah.
basically the reason. But the investors that we do have in secondary markets, still a lot of them, aren't paying a lot of attention to the yield. They're looking at, is this area going up in value, and can I jump on that, sell it in 2 years, whilst the rent pays my mortgage, and make money like that.
Is that a strategy you would advise?
No, I would always pay attention to the returns. Like, if you can get capital appreciation, great. But if you're buying something for capital appreciation, greatest will in the world, we don't know what the market's going to do, this year, next year, the year after. If your yield, drops and you can't pay your mortgage, that's a problem.
So you would be somebody we should talk to about this. So you've sold a lot of stuff to investors recently. What was their direction? Did they want something that they could flip in 2 or 3 years?
Actually, my my clients' portfolio are different. So half of them they want to flip, half of them they want to keep, and they want to rent. It depends, what they are looking for.
And have they come to you and said, Asel, we want something in this community? Or have they said, Asel, we've got this much money? What do you suggest?
So they basically come to me and they tell me like, this is how much we have and we want to invest. So, and I guide them. So I gave them the, let's say, in my opinion, what is the best worth of investing. So, and then we do the numbers, because at the end of the day, what is off plan? We are buying numbers. So they have to be attractive. Apart from gaining capital appreciation, they need to see the yielding also, which is important. So, and apart from that, I give them some kind of guidance in the market to say, I explaining them by the areas, this is how much it appreciates, this is how much you can gain in ROI. So, and then based on that, they choose.
So you have some investors who are buying off plan to flip.
Yeah.
So in the flipping market, so we're seeing in Abu Dhabi that the better developers, you can flip the properties, and the not as good developers, you can't. And I think those guys are really feeling that now, because investors are saying, well, I bought your project and I can't flip it because, it's in a not as good area without as good a reputation. Whereas if I'm buying, and I'll say, Aldar, which is our version of Emaar.
Asel's sold quite a bit of Aldar.
Yeah, good. And I've and I can flip Aldar. So those other developers, they're starting to struggle now. We see their inventory and that their launches are less, their inventory's higher. Do you see the same thing in Dubai, or is it you can flip out anything?
No, you cannot. You cannot flip anything. No, that's exactly why I'm so picky. It depends on what exactly most of the projects that I pick, they're flippable. You can flip them.
But is it based on the developer?
Based on the developer location. Based on the
for example, Emaar, can you just always flip it? When I talk always flip it, I mean in the last 4 years where the market's been going
not
up.
Everything.
Or is Emaar building in some locations that
it's got to be relatively unique to its location.
Yeah, let's say if we compare all the projects, MR projects, they have something like in Dubai Hills. So they just launched recently address. This is the really good option to flip. The rest you will a little bit struggle because Dubai Hills is quite big community.
Which address in Dubai Hills?
They just it's completely sold. They have address in Dubai Hills.
Service apartments.
It's going to be service apartments.
Where?
In Dubai Hills, they completely.
Big place. Narrow it down. Where in Dubai Hills?
I don't remember, but they completely sold it.
One of the hills, obviously.
All of
Dubai Hills. In Dubai Hills.
The Dubai.
The highest hill in Dubai Hills. I did not know that.
Oh, well. We're blinking of an eye.
This is another good, a branded residence. In my opinion, terrible investment. The service fees are so high, you get a terrible return on investment. But that's from my hat being on where I want to buy something and then lease it out, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll get really good flipping returns, but certainly if I'm buying somewhere to live, a branded residence is brilliant. But if I'm buying an investment, it tends to be that the service fees completely destroy your income.
I agree. And there is another point also, sometimes clients, then when they buy and the broker is insisting them to buy and they're telling them that it's easy to flip. And then one of a sudden the client comes back and says I want to flip it, I want to sell it after 6 months. And the developer he might have stock. It's impossible to flip it and sell it because he's already aiming to get 10%, 15% from the price, from the original price, when the developer still has original price. And apart from that, he has to pay around 40% to be transferred. like the unit has to be transferred, right? So that's the struggle also. So that's why it depends. I always say, like, if you want to flip it, it's better to keep the property and like 1 year before the handover. It's the best. So it will be the maximum capital appreciation and like less stock in the market, and yeah.
Or by something like Barney was saying that's unique, because we've got a situation in Abu Dhabi now where we had a project launched in 3 phases called Manarat. So Manarat 1, 2 and 3. And obviously Manarat 1 is the cheapest, 2, but it's basically the same thing. Manarat 3 was launching and it sold out. And we've got people trying to flip Manarat 1, but people would rather buy Manarat 3 for more than Manarat 1, even though it's kind of the same
because
thing
of
for
the transfer.
less. No, because they're like, it's directly from the developer. Payment plan's the same. You obviously need a little bit more cash because you've got to pay the premium, and you got to I think for the resale it's 20%. So you need a little bit more
not that
cash.
much.
But for some reason, people in Abu Dhabi, like, they love buying from the developer rather than on the secondary market.
One thing as a cautionary tale, and I'm wondering whether I should cite the Wicked Witch that I spoke about not so long ago, but there are some agents out there.
Or she just misunderstood.
Bless you. What? Who's Alphaba?
You ever watch Wicked?
I'm a 43-year-old man. Why would I have watched Wicked?
With the 9-year-old daughter?
Yeah, it's probably too scary for me. I mean, one of us would be too frightened to watch that.
It is scary. The flying monkeys are there's something else.
Anyway, be wary of real estate agents who promise you large returns over short periods of time.
Wow.
There are, word has reached my ear of real estate agents saying, buy it 6 months later, I'll have made you 30% on your money.
Oops.
Buy this, and this
Oops.
Wicked Witch may have been named.
Mm-hmm.
This individual bought a lot of property from them and put it all back on the market, and he's not even getting offers of original price because those sales were made just to make the commission.
True.
Right? You've got to be able to understand what you're investing.
What real estate agent would do that, though? Just recommend someone to buy something just for the commission.
Well, there you go. I mean, this is the thing. Someone told me today that there's a developer paying 10% commission.
That's exactly
That's
why I always say
flag.
you have to work with one trusted agent. So because he's gonna work for your benefits, and he's gonna suggest you something to buy really good, and he's not gonna push you. I never push. So they have to feel comfortable.
People have to come to you, don't they, Estelle?
Yes.
You don't go to people. She doesn't go to people. You go to herself. The mountain doesn't come to Mohammed.
And I think if you are an investor, I think you're right, Estelle, but you need to be someone who's gonna invest again and again, because then your real estate agent has got a really high incentive to do a good job that first time, because he's going to get your business back.
Yeah.
If you're a one-serve investor, where you're just like, listen, I've only got like this money for this one unit, you're still going to run into the situation where the agent might try and screw you over because you've only got a value in that transaction. Even if, recommend to buyers, even if you can only afford one, pretend like you can afford like 4 or 5, and you're just going to invest this first one, and I'll come back to you for the business afterwards. And then that agent,
I'm in a long run with my clients all the time. So.
Well, that's because you've got big investors who are going to invest, multiple times. But not everyone.
But it's not how it started, right?
Estelle deals a lot with famous athletes.
Famous athletes.
Famous athletes.
Oh, okay.
Usain Bolt. Name another famous athlete.
Sally Gunnell.
Mo Farah. None of those people she's dealing with. It's just a joke. Right, guys. I mean, I think we've covered quite a lot here. I think we've been given the wrap it up sign by Joel over there. So, I mean, sort of to summarise, I think this seems like there's almost parity in whether to invest in Dubai or Abu Dhabi.
I think probably the yields you can get are pretty similar, but I think if you are a bit more interested in risk,
yields in Abu Dhabi, I would say, were higher, but capital growth in Dubai is probably higher.
And I think our service charge is lower than yours as well.
Quite
Sure.
But yeah, I think if you're interested in a bit more risky investments, Dubai's got that bigger upside, I think, because you're probably going to grow, I don't know, let's say 10 to 15 this year, by most predictions, whereas Abu Dhabi more modestly.
10. Juicy 10. That's probably the biggest year you've ever had.
I would kill somebody for that, literally.
Look out. All right, guys, we have been the Too Fat Broker and the Kazakh. Thank you for joining us. I've been Barney from Dubai.
Ben from Abu Dhabi.
Asaf from Dubai.
See you next time.